let's talk about how I got started in the healthcare industry and starting businesses inside of both. So, mainly, I started as a CNA. Let's go further back. I grew up in a very small town in the mountains of Western North Carolina. There was not much opportunity there, especially for women. Women went like one of two routes: teacher, nurse. Um, that were more so like the professional careers. Outside of that, there was like food industry, like fast food. There wasn't that many restaurants, honestly. And then tourism, people came up from Florida, snowbirds, and people would clean houses for them, but that was seasonal more so. You would have some people that would do it year round, but it was mainly seasonal work. There just wasn't much opportunity. And I had an aunt that is a nurse, or I have an aunt that's a nurse. So that's why I was interested in it. Did I want to be a nurse as a child? No, I did not. I wanted to be an attorney. But again, due to lack of opportunity and lack of vision, how can you know about what you want to be if you're not exposed to it? There's so many positions and job roles and titles that I don't even knew existed. I didn't even know that they were a real thing, you know? Anyway, so I became a CNA. I can't remember. I was a CNA for 4 years. Um, so I guess 2008 ish, 2009. And before I was a CNA, I was a PCA, which is a personal care assistant. Essentially the same thing, just without being certified, because I was working in assisted living facilities. And that's where I was like, yeah, I want to, they pay less. So I was like, I want to make more money, so I'm going to have to do the CNA class. So, but I was working in assisted living facilities probably about a year. And then I went and got my CNA. I was a CNA for 4 years. And I primarily worked in long-term care. I mean, it is what it is. And when I graduated, or not graduated, I went to nursing school. That took a while. Because my plan was to be a CNA for 2 years. But in the area that I was in, it was a very competitive thing to get into with the colleges, the local colleges and shit. So that is why it took 4 years for me to get in there, get my prerequisites done, and just get in a program and get accepted. And I went to like 3 different schools in that time, run up student loans, just trying to get in. And I finally got into one and did the LPN program. I was originally going to go for RN, but it just worked out that LPNs had more openings than the RNs did. So I went for my LPN, and that took 15 months. I graduated from the college in 2012, and I was so hell bent on not going to the nursing homes just because that's all I had been in, you know? So I was like, I'm not going into nursing home, no long term care. I hate it. So I went to pediatrics. I went to a doctor's office and worked pediatrics. I hated it. Now, the pay is very low, but it works with your kid's school schedule, which is primarily why I did it. I mean, you get off after school gets out, but there's after school care, you know? But it works well with your school schedule, especially with the holidays and the breaks, because most of the time the offices are closed or running on like half the staff. So that's why I did that. The pay sucked though. And they had good benefits. Good benefits, I will say that. And we got fed by drug reps a lot of the time. And it was good food. You know, it was good food. But again, the pay was terrible. So as soon as I started, as soon as I started the job, I was planning my exit. I was like, yeah, this is cool. It's working with my kid's schedule, but I have to find something with more money. Because, like, what the fuck am I doing? What did I go to school for if I can't make more money? So I got into psych and substance abuse, mental health. And that was a huge pay increase. And looking back now, it probably wouldn't be right now, but that was a big jump for me. So I was working an inpatient detox unit. It was a locked unit for adults, and it was co-ed, and there were 12 beds, if I'm not mistaken. So I worked there. There were some incidents. One person did commit suicide there. I was not working that night or that day because I worked night shift. Someone always had to be there. Was it easy? Skill wise, it was easy, but it was still very challenging because you have two techs and the nurse, and that's it. And this was in an even smaller part of Western North Carolina. So anytime we had someone come in, and because we had to accept walk-ins. So imagine the people that we were getting. You're getting homeless people off the street. You're getting people that are high out of their minds, hallucinating, having mental breakdowns, people coming in that are victims. So it was a mix, and I really enjoyed getting that experience. Like, I loved being so hands-on with that because you literally see everything. And you are with them the entire process from the admission to the discharge and everything in between. So, and you do get to use your skills because, again, you're the nurse. You're the only nurse there. So if there was labs that needed to be drawn, if they needed samples of anything, like UA, I mean, you did a lot of your skills, but it just wasn't intense or maybe as frequent, and it was a different skill set. So I'm trying to think, how long did I stay there? After that person committed suicide in the parking lot, he shot himself, I left. So I'm trying to think how long I was there. I think like maybe a year, right up into a year. I never really kept a job over a year. I don't know. Anyways, it was crazy because you would see people come in tripping, bath salts were a thing, and people would be flipping the fuck out, hallucinating, trying to beat other people up, getting combative. I would lock them in their fucking rooms or in like the group room to keep everybody else safe because it was that serious. And whenever I had to call for help or like call the police, I learned real quick that there was one sheriff for the entire county. So I never called them. I called the ambulance. The hospital was not far away, so the EMS got there a lot faster. Yeah, not many resources at all in that area. But it was cool. I enjoyed the work. I really enjoyed it. So after that, but it was probably about a 45, 50-minute drive. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to find something closer. And it was 3 night shifts a week. I was like, I need to really get on days. You know, again, scheduling, conflicts, whatever. So I go to work at another mental health clinic. And this one was downtown Asheville to be specific. So I worked at a mental health and substance abuse. And this one was set up completely different. I did not like it. I did not like that it was set up. It just wasn't what I was used to because they had RNs and LPNs and their roles were very different. So you're separated from, there's one LPN on the shift. I think he did 12s, and I was there for days and nights. I kind of did both, but the RNs were like in their section. The LPN was in their section. You worked together, of course, if you needed something. But then they had a peer support specialist there. They had groups. I did not really like the place. It was kind of weird. Definitely didn't last long. I got fired there. What did I do? I think I was playing basketball. Like doing a group with the people there. Politics, you know? Politics. But it still fucked that bitch that fired me forever. Anyways, and when I went there, I took a pay cut. But in my head, I'm like, it's okay because it's right downtown. Because at this point, I had moved to the area. I moved out of my hometown at this point, and I am living in the town that I accepted the pay cut in downtown Asheville. I wasn't living downtown Asheville. I was probably about 20 minutes away, but I was in the same area. And the drive was much better, and I was able to kind of work weekends, so it was not a strain on my schedule. So that's why I accepted the pay cut. I also didn't like a few of the nurses there. They some weird ass bitches. And that's the thing with nursing. There's a lot of politics. And a lot of people think everybody can't be a chief. Everybody can't be the manager, you know, like, and honestly, you can't tell me what to do if we have the same title, you know? I had to get the fuck out of there. Anyways, didn't last long at all at that one. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to try a nursing home. You know, I'm just going to try it because I'm very familiar with nursing homes. I know, you know, everything. And I went to a nursing home. I picked up a shift. I didn't sign on. I just picked up part-time. And I worked my first shift and I was like, I'm home. I was like, honey, I'm home. I love nursing homes. I don't know. I just fucking love them. And the ones that I like are the state ran facilities. The ones that are so short staffed. The ones that um barely have any fucking supplies. I I don't know. I really like those facilities. And the reason I do like those is because the people there, for one, your coworkers, the ones you work with, everybody's trying to help everybody. You know, and yeah, there's gossip and drama, but overall, you help each other, you work well together, and you come together for the patients. Those are the ones I feel like need you the most, or the residents. They need your help the most. Um, but I do just love nursing homes, unfortunately. I love working there. It's so flexible, you know, the times. You can work 2/16s and be done. You can work 5/8s and be done. So it's just, they're very flexible. The pay is much better at a nursing home. So I went to different nursing homes about every year or year and a half. I was just bouncing around and I was a staff. And then I was like, I'm going to try an agency just to see, because at that time agencies were not, they were a thing and people knew about them, but it was more so traveling. But then they started coming up with more local positions and you didn't have to be a traveler, because some agencies require you to travel or you don't get the pay they're offering. You have to live like 60 miles away in order to get the pay they're advertising for that role. But they began having more local positions. So I signed on. First I moved to South Carolina, and then I was like, okay. No, I did work at agency. I worked an agency job. My last staff job, we got COVID in the building. That's when COVID came out. Um, but yeah, okay. I was working agency, and I liked agency a lot. I was working one facility at the time I was buying my house, and in 1 week I worked 84 hours because I was working to get my down payment money and making sure I had money to furnish my entire house, do everything I wanted to do. So I was pulling crazy hours, but I really liked agency work because you literally make your own schedule. You work when you want to work. The pay is better. And if you get tired of being at one facility, you just go to a different one. Switch it up. Because each facility has their own things with them. You know, you may not like the staff at this one. You may not like the residents or the patient load at this one. So it's just different. So you have a lot more freedom. That's the closest thing to being a business owner, I feel like, is working with an agency, especially if you're 1099, you're an independent contractor. So I left agency work, and then I bought my house. Finally closed, bought my house, moved to South Carolina, and I started picking up shifts sporadically because I had a different business. This isn't my first one. Or even second, but we'll talk about it. Anyways, so I start working for agency essentially, and I get to a point to where I'm like, I just really have to figure something else out, because again, I moved to a different state. I didn't have really much support. I have friends in the area, of course, but my friends have lives and kids and responsibilities. So just not having help, you know. But anyways, I was like, if they're doing this, I can do it too. Fuck it. I'm gonna open one. We'll see what happens. So I did. I started it on paper 2 years before I even went for it. Because whenever I have an idea or something and it sounds really good, I'll go ahead and create the name, get my EIN, get the LLC. I'll get all the stuff on paper ready. But I did not actively act on it until 2 years later. And I got my first contract, and I was working for my company with my contract. I was the first one doing that. And at that time, I was like, I'm not really going to expand on this. I'm just doing this because I was like, I just want to pick up shifts for the summer and save up my money, because when school comes around, I don't really work that much. So I need to be able to save my money, like save every penny if I can. So I was doing that, and then I was like, that wasn't that bad. I was like, imagine if I had people on payroll here. I can do that. Like, I can fucking do that. So I did. I did that. I started hiring people and getting other needs filled. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe I need to get another building and see how that goes. So I got another building. I was like, maybe I need to get another building. So I got another building and I got staff at different buildings. And I was like, fuck, this is pretty cool. And then I started having issues with staff, which that comes and goes. You're going to. But it's just a learning experience. Because even though I had this business on paper, and even though it took me a while to actually dive into the idea and get initiated and started, I was literally learning as I was going. It doesn't matter how much you look shit up and read and watch videos. Until you get in there and get in the fucking field, you just don't know. So I learned a lot. And ended up losing a couple buildings behind staff and opportunities behind staff. So I definitely learned. I learned a lot. And I'm still learning, but I got the basics down. But learning the basics cost me thousands of income and of lost opportunity, potential income as well. Like, I learned a lot. But now we're in 2026, so it's been probably 2 years, coming up on 2.5 years of me doing this shit, So that's how I got into it, for staffing, because I was a nurse, I was a CNA, I was a PCA, I was a CNA, and then I was LPN, and then I worked in different specialties and fields and areas, and I started working at an agency, and I was like, I'm just going to open my own agency. So I did. Now, to scale is another conversation, and that's what I'm currently working on, because I am a single mom. I'm a single mom. I have children, plural, so I'm not able to do and be as much as people that have more time freedom and less responsibility as I do. So I am, again, still learning and growing, but I'm scaling this year. It's time, All right, so that's the staffing company. Should I talk about my home care as well? Like, should I? Or should I do that in a different video? We're at 17 minutes. Home care isn't going to take long. I'll mention it now. So for my home care, that literally started last year. Hold on. 2024. And it's a DBA under my staffing company. And the reason I did that, for one, have you watched the videos I've talked about boomers and the potential income that's coming with the boomers? That is the largest population, like, by far, are the boomers. They're aging out. They are aging out. They're going to need people to take care of them. Gen X and millennials are not set up financially to care for or to send their parents and loved ones to nursing homes, or they don't want to. So they're going to try to keep them in the home longer. Especially because you got to think about it. They want to keep them in the home longer, especially if they don't have much time left on their life, because anytime they send them out for care, like to a nursing home, and for example, that's eating their inheritance. And that's the largest fucking population. The youngest boomer right now, I think, is 70. If I'm not mistaken. But either way, like, now's the time to get into home care. People want to keep their family members home. You can't be oversaturated in home care at all. And I've done videos on how to get started in home care and how to market yourself in home care, how to get these home care clients. And you can do medical or non-medical. I'm not going to go too deep into that. I'm not going to right now because we're pushing 20 minutes. But I'll do another video about that. But yeah. That's how I've got started in the healthcare industry with staffing. And staffing isn't going anywhere. And if you go into a nursing home, the admins, they all hate agency. Everybody says they hate agency, but they need agency because they can't keep staff. And that could be for any reason. It could just be to their geographical location. Or it could be because there's a very high turnover rate at that facility. Or because they don't have supplies. Or because the residents are not nice. It could be for any reason. It's not their fault necessarily that they can't keep staff, especially when agency exists. So agency is needed, and agencies are not going anywhere. So this is a good business to get into. I do offer one-on-ones if interested. If you have specific questions, I do offer those. It's on my website. But yeah. Love you. Bye.